A young man from rural China makes a life-altering decision to leave his homeland behind and pursue love with a beautiful African woman. Starting from nothing as a factory worker, he rises to become a successful entrepreneur, exporting fragrant spices and earning hundreds of thousands of yuan each month. But just when everything seems to be falling into place, unexpected turmoil strikes. Will their love be strong enough to withstand the storms ahead? Will they stay together or go their separate ways? Join us as we unravel this deeply moving love story. October 1990. Luo Ming was born into a humble farming family in Yongzhou, Hunan province. His parents were hard-working farmers, dedicating their lives to supporting their three children, Luo Ming, his older brother, and his older sister. Though the family of five wasn't particularly large, making ends meet was a constant struggle. From an early age, Luo Ming understood the sacrifices his parents made. He also believed that education was the only path to changing his destiny. Determined to create a better future, he devoted himself to his studies, hoping to pass the college entrance exams and secure a stable, well-paying job. But as high school progressed, his grades began to slip. By the time he reached his senior year, reality hit. His chances of getting into college were slim. Rather than continuing down an uncertain academic path, he made a bold choice. He dropped out and left for Dongguan to work as a factory laborer. Arriving in Dongguan, Luo Ming was full of confidence and ambition. He quickly found a job at a shoe factory, earning just over 1,000 yuan per month. Despite the low wages, he lived frugally, managing to send home more than 500 yuan each month after covering his own expenses. For 5 long years, he worked tirelessly, never once complaining. Thanks to his dedication and work ethic, he steadily climbed the ranks, earning promotions and salary increases. It seemed like things were finally looking up until disaster struck. In 2012, a workplace accident left him injured, making it impossible for him to continue working at the factory. His employer offered only a small compensation before letting him go. For the first time, Luo Ming found himself lost. He knew he couldn't stay idle forever. This moment of crisis forced him to reflect on his future. Perhaps it was time to return to school. He realized one undeniable truth. Without an education, he would always be trapped in low-wage labor. After much deliberation, Luo Ming made a life-changing decision. He enrolled in the Continuing Education Institute at South China Normal University, majoring in English. He believed that mastering English would open new doors and allow him to connect with people from different cultures. His instincts proved right. During his studies, he befriended a fellow student from Madagascar. Their bond grew quickly, overcoming cultural differences and forming a deep friendship. University life flew by, but their connection only strengthened over time. By June 2014, Luo Ming proudly graduated with his degree. Fueled by a renewed sense of purpose, he and a former high school classmate opened a bookstore in their hometown of Yongzhou. Little did he know, this was only the beginning of a journey that would take him halfway across the world, toward a love story that would change his life forever. Mancha was born in July 1993 and grew up in a rural family in Sambava, a town in the Sava region of Madagascar. Her parents owned a noodle factory, and compared to most locals, her family was considered well off. However, by Chinese standards, they were simply middle class. Thanks to her family's financial stability, Mancha had the opportunity to pursue higher education. She passed the university entrance exam and majored in tourism. Her English was exceptional, making her stand out among her peers. When she met Luo Ming, she was in her final year of college, working as a tour guide intern. After Luo Ming arrived in Madagascar, his friend arranged for a local guide to show him around. As fate would have it, that guide turned out to be Mancha, the best friend of his friend's girlfriend. From the moment Luo Ming met Mancha, he was captivated by her beauty. Though she was African, her skin wasn't particularly dark. Instead, it had a warm, rich brown tone. But what intrigued him most wasn't just her complexion. It was her facial features. Like many people from Madagascar, Mancha had strikingly Asian-like features. If her skin had been a shade lighter, she could have easily been mistaken for a Chinese woman. This sense of familiarity immediately put Luo Ming at ease. The two quickly fell into conversation in English, their words flowing effortlessly. Mancha patiently introduced him to Madagascar's breathtaking landscapes, rich culture, and deep-rooted traditions. In return, Luo Ming shared fascinating stories about China, eager to bridge the distance between their two worlds. With each passing day, their connection deepened. 2 weeks later, on a quiet, romantic evening, Luo Ming invited Mancha out for a walk. They strolled along the beach, the waves gently lapping at their feet, the night sky sprinkled with stars. The moment felt almost surreal, but an unspoken reality loomed. Luo Ming would be leaving Madagascar in just a few days. Unable to hold back his emotions any longer, he turned to Mancha and said, "Mancha, you're beautiful and kind. I really like you. Would you be my girlfriend and come to China with me?" Caught off guard, Mancha found herself speechless. She stood in silence for a moment before softly replying, "To be honest, I like you too, but Madagascar is so far from China. Do we really have a future together?" At that moment, Luo Ming recited a Chinese verse to Mancha. "Suo ai ge shan hai jie ke ping." Love may be separated by mountains and seas, but mountains and seas can always be overcome. Mancha looked at him in confusion. Seeing her puzzled expression, Luo Ming quickly explained the meaning in English. The moment she understood, Mancha threw her arms around him, and just like that, their love story truly began. Under the African sky, Luo Ming's heart had found its home. But reality was cruel. Luo Ming's visa was only valid for a month, and soon he would have to leave. Falling in love only to be separated so soon. It was heartbreaking. Back in China, however, Luo Ming never let their connection fade. He convinced Mancha to download WeChat, and from then on, they spoke every day. Almost without fail, they would video call, bridging the vast ocean between them. In the summer of 2015, Mancha graduated from college. Longing to see Luo Ming again, she arranged a trip to Bangkok, Thailand, under the pretext of handling family business. When Luo Ming heard the news, he didn't hesitate. He booked a flight to Bangkok immediately. The moment they saw each other at the airport, they ran into each other's arms. Without a second thought, they shared a passionate kiss, oblivious to the curious stares of people around them. For a week, they immersed themselves in happiness, cherishing every second together. But no matter how sweet the moment was, the bitter reality of separation loomed once again. Luo Ming knew he couldn't bear to be apart from Mancha any longer. Looking into her eyes, he finally spoke the words weighing on his heart. "Mancha, come to China with me. Marry me. Let's build a life together." But Mancha hesitated. She loved him, but leaving her homeland, her family, it was an overwhelming decision. They argued, unable to reach a compromise. Frustrated and heartbroken, Luo Ming left Bangkok. Their love had seemingly come to an end. One autumn night in 2015, Luo Ming's phone lit up with a message from Mancha. "Since returning to Madagascar, I've tried to forget you. I even considered accepting the man who has been pursuing me, but I couldn't. Luo Ming, I still want to be with you, forever." Reading her words, Luo Ming was overwhelmed with regret. He realized how selfish he had been, failing to truly understand Mancha's fears. The next morning, he booked a flight to Madagascar, but this time, he wasn't just going to see Mancha, he was going to meet her parents. Before leaving, Luo Ming carefully prepared gifts, hoping to make a good impression on his future in-laws. When he arrived in Madagascar, Mancha took him to her family's home in Sambava. News of their arrival spread quickly, and soon the house was filled with curious relatives. Dozens of family members gathered, eager to meet the Chinese man who had won Mancha's heart. Yet, Luo Ming showed no nervousness. With a warm smile, he presented the gifts he had brought, handing them out one by one. His sincerity and thoughtfulness won everyone over. At Mancha's home, he didn't act like a guest. He rolled up his sleeves and helped her mother make noodles. He worked tirelessly, proving his diligence and sincerity as a Chinese man. It was this effort, this willingness to embrace their way of life, that ultimately won over Mancha's parents. At last, they gave their blessing. Mancha could marry Luo Ming. On January 1st, 2016, Luo Ming brought Mancha home to Hunan, China. But adjusting to a new life wasn't easy. Not knowing a word of Chinese, Mancha struggled to communicate with her future in-laws. Fortunately, Luo Ming's parents were kind, patient, and understanding. They welcomed her with open arms, treating her not as an outsider, but as a beloved daughter-in-law. For the first time since leaving Madagascar, Mancha felt a sense of belonging. She realized that love, no matter the distance, is always worth the journey. In March 2016, Luo Ming and Mancha went to the Civil Affairs Bureau in Yongzhou to officially register their marriage, receiving their international marriage certificate. After careful discussions with his family, Luo Ming made a life-changing decision. He would move to Madagascar with Mancha. At the time, he had no stable job in China and no clear plan to support his new wife. But he believed in the sharp business instincts of the Chinese people and was confident that he could find opportunities in Madagascar. By September 2016, Luo Ming and Mancha returned to her homeland. Just a month later, Mancha gave birth to a beautiful baby boy, a child of two cultures, carrying both Chinese and Malagasy heritage. During this time, Luo Ming was still living with his in-laws, balancing his time between caring for his growing family and preparing for their formal wedding celebration. In November 2016, they held a traditional African-style wedding in Madagascar. Luo Ming's parents flew in from China to celebrate this special occasion with them. As a gesture of sincerity, they prepared a dowry worth over 100,000 yuan. However, Mancha's parents politely refused. Despite not being wealthy, they did not believe in accepting dowries, a common practice in Chinese culture. After the wedding, Luo Ming's parents returned to China, while he remained in Madagascar, determined to establish a stable livelihood for his family. At first, Luo Ming experimented with small business ventures. He sold beverages and tried importing and reselling electronic goods, but none of his efforts gained traction. After more than 6 months of struggling in Madagascar, he made a key observation. Many Chinese entrepreneurs were thriving in the spice export business. Madagascar was one of the world's most renowned spice-producing regions. Seeing a golden opportunity, Luo Ming decided to enter the industry. With the help of his in-laws, who had deep knowledge of the local market, he borrowed tens of thousands of yuan from his parents to fund his startup. Determined to succeed, he followed experienced traders, learning everything he could about the trade. He began purchasing high-quality spices directly from farmers at competitive prices, processing them in local factories, and exporting them to China at a significant profit. It was the best decision he had ever made. In just over 6 months, Luo Ming's business started to thrive. By 2019, his monthly net income had soared to 100,000 yuan. However, as his business grew, so did his responsibilities. His work consumed most of his time, leaving him with little opportunity to spend with his family. To ensure Mancha and their son were well taken care of, he hired a full-time housekeeper to assist with household duties. But as their son grew older, a new concern emerged. At 3 years old, the boy spoke only French and the local Malagasy language. He didn't know a single word of Chinese. Yet, from birth, he had been registered as a Chinese citizen. Luo Ming realized that China had a far superior education system, and if his son was to have the best future possible, he needed to be raised and educated there. By the end of 2019, Luo Ming made another major decision. He would return to China with Mancha and their son. This time, he wasn't coming back as a struggling worker, but as a successful entrepreneur. He bought a house in Yongzhou as a gift to his parents, a symbol of his achievements and gratitude. Once settled, he made another big decision. He enrolled his son in a kindergarten in China, leaving him in the care of his grandparents to ensure he received a quality education. However, in early 2020, just after the Chinese New Year, fate took an unexpected turn. The outbreak of the pandemic forced Luo Ming and Mancha to remain in Yongzhou indefinitely, putting their plans and their future on an unforeseen path. It wasn't until April 2020 that Luo Ming and Mancha were finally able to return to Madagascar. By May 2020, Luo Ming purchased a large piece of land with hopes of building a future there. He began constructing a spacious villa, envisioning a comfortable home where he and Mancha could settle down permanently. However, the lingering effects of past disruptions had severely impacted his spice export business. His income steadily declined, and at times, it was barely enough to cover operational costs. By the end of 2021, Luo Ming could no longer sustain the business. With no other option, he was forced to shut down his factory, bringing his once thriving venture to an end. With his business closed, Luo Ming and Mancha made the difficult decision to return to China, devoting themselves entirely to raising their son. Now, more than anything, Luo Ming hopes for the pandemic to end so he can return to Africa and rebuild his business. At 32 years old, he and Mancha have settled in Yongzhou, Hunan province. With no suitable job opportunities, Luo Ming relies on his savings to support his family. Fortunately, thanks to his earlier success, he has enough financial stability to maintain a comfortable life. As for Mancha, she spends most of her time at home studying Chinese. She also takes on the daily routine of picking up and dropping off their son from school. Their 6-year-old, a beautiful blend of two cultures, is about to start first grade. Now, after living in China for some time, he speaks Mandarin fluently. Luo Ming's life has been a journey of relentless challenges and tough decisions. From a small-town boy to a successful entrepreneur, then back to facing uncertainty. Yet, one thing has remained constant: his love for Mancha. Together, they have built a family, overcoming every hardship hand in hand. But what lies ahead for them? Will Luo Ming return to Madagascar and reclaim his dreams? Or will he choose to build a new life in China? What do you think about this extraordinary love story and its unpredictable journey? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss more captivating stories ahead.